hotels throw out millions of bars of used soap every week. But they don't have to go in the trash.
Really?
Recycling soap can be as simple as shaving the surface with potato peelers.
We would sit here and just scrape it off and make sure it was cleaned up and good to go.
That was 14 years ago. Today, Sean Siepler's company, Clean the World, runs a factory that can handle thousands of bars an hour. And across the Atlantic in Lyon, France, the team at Unisoap turns the waste into new bars they say are completely sanitary. Both companies
They say. Oh, I like that distinction right there.
donate their products to the homeless and
They
children in
claim.
developing countries. But as these nonprofits perfect the process of dealing with this type of trash, hotels have started to cut back on individually wrapped hygiene products, and some countries are even considering banning them entirely. We
That's pretty smart. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
traveled to France and
Refillable.
Florida to see how these two
Would be
companies
better.
help people clean themselves with worldwide waste. A second-hand bar of soap isn't as gross as it might seem. Yes, there's probably dirt, hair, dead skin cells, and bacteria on there. But when you wash, soap molecules bind to the germs and natural oils on your skin. While these molecules attract grease and grime, they repel water. Running water pushes the soap molecules, along with all that captured filth, off your skin safely.
Right, like soap is inherently, I mean, the soap bar is not clean, but even using a secondhand or soap, you know, like the soap bar I have in my bathroom right now, like there's going to be some bacteria on it just from sitting out and dirt from my hands or whatever. But every time I use it, the soap molecules that I'm rubbing onto my hands, they're collecting all of that stuff and the water washes them off. So, like, yeah, sure, the soap might be a little bit not the most sanitary thing, but the act of using it on your hands still makes your hands sanitary.
Away from you. So even a contaminated bar is safe to clean your hands with.
Right.
The bar of soap may have microbes on it, but it probably won't make you sick. In fact, the simple act of hand washing can wash away something as serious as the Ebola virus. Still, both Unisoap and Clean the World follow extra guidelines to clean their bars. Here's how Unisoap collects thousands of bars from hotels in France.
Une semaine de collecte.
First, all grime left from the hotel guests must be removed. The team installed peelers into a table to take off the outer layers.
3 fois, à chaque fois pareil, une rotation pour être sûr que tout soit bien effacé et qu'il n'y a plus.
The peelers are razor sharp, so workers wear special gloves to protect their fingers. They inspect every bar. The company claims scraping alone is enough to maintain a sanitary process. But it's a lot of work.
L'étape de nettoyage.
Yeah, I mean, that seriously actually seems like a lot of work. That is a lot of manpower and pay that you have to dish out for this step. That's pretty crazy, actually.
C'est une étape qui est longue, qui est fastidieuse, et on avait souvent des personnes en situation de handicap qui nous disaient voilà, que c'était assez pénible à faire. Et donc il fallait qu'on trouve une solution.
So, Pauline worked with an engineer to invent a machine that can reduce some of the labor. While Unisoap wouldn't show us exactly how this prototype works, it hopes to build more of them as it scales up.
C'est marrant de voir en fait les savons qui sautent comme ça et qui tombent dans le seau.
Commercial mixers grind and blend the differently sized bars into smaller, uniform pieces. The mixture finally
Little
enters
pellets.
an extruder that molds the soap into one long piece.
And they got
Workers
it.
hand cut the individual bars and stamp Unisoap's logo into each one.
Pain de savon neuf.
They could 100% automate this. I mean, there's no reason for workers having to hand cut each one and the logo being pressed in like by a certain person doing it. Like, you see a lot more complex things like this happening in many other factories around the world. So I'm assuming that Unisoap is just kind of a smaller company that hasn't quite like scaled. I mean, even they're just getting rid of the hand peeler people and they're moving it to more of an automated process now. So I'm assuming that they're just trying to work on scaling now.
Voilà, parce qu'on est soumis aux mêmes réglementations cosmétiques qu'un fabricant classique.
Since the company launched in 2017, workers have processed nearly 10 metric tons of soap this way. Over in the United States, the much larger Clean the World upgraded to an industrial assembly line years ago.
There we go.
The used soap comes from thousands of hotels around the world, adding up to about 1.4 million rooms. In 2009, CEO Sean Siepler started out shaving soap with vegetable peelers in a one-car garage.
We would sit here and just scrape it off and make sure it was cleaned up and good to go.
So this is like he started at like very like kind of like Unisoap, like what I was talking about. I mean, this is an exaggeration, but Unisoap kind of is just starting to get away from the hand peeler stuff. And Clean the World is at this crazy industrial level already that I was kind of talking about. Like, I feel like this must be possible, and clearly it is.
Today, a giant machine called a refiner cleans the dirt and hair from the top layers, pushing out uniform noodle-like strands from all the differently sized bars. Those strands get heated and mixed with a solution of water and bleach for 7 to 8 minutes to sanitize them. A conveyor belt brings the sterilized mix to a final refiner before it gets molded. A long bar of recycled soap rolls out from the extruder as it's cut into individual bars.
Look at how cool they look, too. They're like marbled. That's neat.
Clean the World ships soap overseas to countries like Ghana, Bangladesh, and the Philippines, where many people live without basic access to running water. More than 3 billion people around the world live this way, and over 700 children die every day from diarrheal diseases that might easily be prevented by washing with soap and water.
We need a couple more.
The company reports back to its hotel partners about how their donations help.
So they know exactly how much landfill diversion they've had, how many bars of soap have gotten in the hands of children and mothers around the world because of their efforts.
Since 2000,
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So the hotels just donate these bars instead of throwing them away. They don't have to throw them in a fucking landfill. Speaking of our landfill video the other day. And they're sending them to countries that just don't have quite the same access to this stuff or the money for this stuff like we do.
Clean the World has donated more than 73 million recycled bars to children in need. Even though Unisoap is still growing compared to Clean the World, it's already making an impact closer to home.
Quand on voit qu'il y a 51 millions de savons d'un côté qui sont jetés par les hôtels en France et qu'il y a 3 millions de personnes qui n'ont pas les moyens de s'acheter des produits d'hygiène de base, ben voilà, on a vite compris que la solution qu'on a est hyper importante.
Pauline got her idea to recycle soap while staying at a hotel.
Lorsque j'ai demandé à l'hôtelier, mais que faites-vous de vos savonnettes une fois qu'elles ont été utilisées, et il me disait qu'en fait elles partaient toutes à la poubelle.
So she started reaching out to hotels in 2017 about their used toiletries. Now they collect soap from nearly 350 locations. Getting the soap was the easy part. Figuring out how to recycle it took longer.
Alors à partir du moment où voilà, on a commencé à faire de la recherche-développement sur le process, on a commencé voilà, à se mettre dessus jusqu'au moment où on a formé les moniteurs, les travailleurs en situation de handicap, bah, on peut dire qu'il s'est pratiquement écoulé 2 ans. Hein.
That led Pauline to a government program that matches young people with disabilities to a variety of small companies. And she relies on volunteers to help distribute hygiene kits containing toothbrushes, toothpaste, and of course, recycled soap.
Donc il y a 2 ans, on a ouvert cet établissement qui s'appelle Le Phare pour accueillir des familles en difficulté. L'idée ici, voilà, c'est ce lieu, un peu, c'est un lieu repère pour ces familles, pour qu'elles puissent trouver un temps de chaleur.
Marcel comes in a few times a week to meet with friends, play games, and stay warm, as well as to use the only public showers in the area.
Ah, j'étais époustouflée par le cadeau.
Unisoap has donated 30,000 of
When was the last time you saw soap recipient next to someone's name? Like, that is their title. I'm Jackson Downer, and I'm a soap recipient. And here's my story. No, this is awesome, and it's really cool to see a smaller company like Unisoap and versus kind of a company that's been at it for longer. Even more interesting to see how this is made, though, like this, how this is actually done and what's being done, because these are all things we don't think about, like the landfill video. Speaking of, once again, call back to that. Like, you don't think about it, but it's like what really does go on. And same thing with this soap. Like, yeah, when you use a hotel bar of soap, you're not using it all in the 2 days that you're there or the week that you're there, even half the time. So what happens? They either throw it away or it actually gets recycled, and that's so fucking cool.
these bars across France to community centers just like this one. But the hotel industry may be shifting away from practices that allow these two companies to help people. In 2019,
Right, because they're gonna get rid of bar soap, like which is probably the best thing to do. It's probably gonna be the best thing for the environment, I would say, and like for waste. Because I think that a lot of bars of soap still get thrown away. Like if we could recycle all of them, then yes. But I think also from the hotel's perspective, I guarantee it's a lot of money wastage and a lot of money loss when you add it all up. You know, like a bar of soap doesn't cost much, one singular one. But when you add up the cost per bar, per room, per year, per day, per year, this adds up. So I can see why they would want to sort of keep it to just a refillable bottle. You use what's needed. They can refill it. Boom.
Marriott International and IHG.
But people do miss out. You know, obviously the people that get these recycled bars in the less fortunate countries, now that is a trade-off that sucks.
Two of the world's largest hotel companies announced they were stocking bathrooms with large, refillable liquid dispensers. That's almost 2.4 million hotel rooms with no more bars in their showers. The companies estimate they'll eliminate over 2 million pounds of plastic heading for the landfill this way. Marriott told Insider it's even considering removing the small hand soap bars next to hotel sinks. But this trade-off isn't so simple. According to one study, washing with a bar uses less soap versus liquid cleaners, up to 6 times less. So bars go further than liquids and don't require plastic bottles to begin with.
Right.
And those refillable soap containers, they nearly always take on more bacteria when staff refill them. Despite this, Unisoap and Clean the World continue to grow their soap recycling initiatives beyond their humble beginnings. Both started from a simple question: what happens to this soap after I check out? So the next time you're asked how a hotel can make your stay better, consider asking them what they do with your dirty soap.
That's such a pleasing sound. Little bricks hitting other little bricks of soap. That's super cool. That was super interesting. These are all like complex questions that like I've never at all pondered what happens to my dirty soap when I'm finished at the hotel, or what are the implications of a hotel changing to liquid refillable soap versus keeping the bars. What's actually more sustainable? What's actually better? And like they made some good fucking points actually against the refillable stuff.